Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Good morning, Ateneo! Start your day right with your morning wake-up call. Good morning, Ateneo! Energize your day with a lively, funny, and lovely tandem of Mir de los Santos and Ariel Dicción. Catch the latest news and stories around the campus. Good morning, Ateneo! Your daily dose of radio chikahan, tawanan, kantahan, and kwentuhan. Every morning, only here on the voice of the Blue Eagle, Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Good morning, Ateneo! Mornings have never been this good. Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, baby! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, baby! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, baby! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, baby! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo! Rejoice, refresh, renew, and reflect. Join us for an hour of music that uplifts the soul. Listen to your favorite Jesuit music ministry artists. This is JMM Radio. Get your day's dose of inspirational music. Tune in to JMM Radio. Every Wednesday, only here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Tara na't simulan ang inyong umaga sa mga magagandang refleksyon tungkol sa ating buhay at pananampalataya. Kasama sina Father J. Boy Gonzales at Father Nono Alfonso ng Kapisanan ni Jesus, Binibining Risa Singson Kaupeng ng Feast Magazine, Father Fiel Pareha mula sa Archdiocese ng San Fernando, Pampanga, at Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Dito sa Kapet Pandasal sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM. Keep the Word of God strong in our lives. Keep the spirit of hope and the grace of healing alive every day. Keep the faith. Join us every morning for the celebration of the Holy Eucharist with the Jesuits from the Philippine province. Keep the faith. Daily Mass with the Jesuits streams from Monday to Sunday at 8 o'clock in the morning on Radyo Katipunan's Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter feed, and other social media partners.
Coming up next, Level Up Exclusives on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
3 o'clock prayer. You died, Jesus, but the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fountain of life, immeasurable divine mercy, cover the whole world and empty yourself out upon us. O blood and water, which flowed out from the heart of Jesus as a fountain of mercy for us, I trust in you. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Holy God, Holy Mighty One, Holy Immortal One, have mercy on us and the whole world. Amen. Jesus, King of Mercy, we trust in you.
Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Radyo Katipunan, Radyo Katipunan, Radyo Katipunan. Sa loob, sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugod, todo sa kayon, dunong at tulog. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan.
Mga Katipuneros, it's time to level up! Your talk variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
All good already, all the best, and we have here someone we miss. Someone I've worked with before she went into investigative journalism. She was an inquirer, and for a while, inampun namin sa Studio 23 to do breakfast and why speak. And now, she has this book, Some People Need Killing, a memoir of, murder in my country, in our country. Someone we can call our own. Patricia Evangelista is not here in the Philippines, but she's as much a Filipina as we all are. Pat, kumusta ka?
Okay lang naman. 5 taon kasi ako nagsulat eh. So parang nakawala ako sa lungga.
Na masarap
Kasi ang
yung
tagal
feeling, di ba? Para ka rin nanganak.
Parang, pero matagal ang pregnancy.
Correct. 5 taon. 5 taon.
5 taon.
Now, before
5
we talk
taon
about
yun.
the process, before we
Go
talk
on.
about this, mas masyadong recent yung launch mo ng 17. How did it go? And anong pakiramdam na finally naluwal mo yung libro na pinagpaguran mo ng ilang taon?
Okay, yung una, yung launch. So, co-presented siya ng PEN America at ng Dart Center for Trauma and Journalism. Fellow kasi ako sa Dart Center. So, lumabas siya sa Columbia University. So, ang kasama ko doon, ang nag-introduce, si Sheila Coronel, founder ng
Ramon
Philippine Center.
Magsaysay Awardee ngayon.
That too, yes. And founder ng PCIJ. Na ngayon, professor siya sa Columbia University ng Journalism School. Tapos, nagkaroon ng presentation tungkol dun sa libro. Well-attended naman. Tapos, I was in conversation
kahit yung online. Okay.
Yeah. And I was in conversation, so interview with Maria Ressa. Dati kong boss.
Ang dati mong boss at yun nga,
Na may Nobel. Yes.
naman. So papunta ka
Yes.
naman doon. You're in good company and people have molded you really. So what was the pinaka-startling comment? Yung pinaka-nagulat ka na comment ng mga taong nag-attend ng book launch?
Well, kasi, so I am an investigative journalist,
Yes.
pero ang specific range ng trabaho ko is trauma journalism. So ito yung pagkatapos ng typhoon, so matapos ang Haiyan, matapos ng siege ng Zamboanga, Mama Sapano, Maguindanao Massacre. So usually in the aftermath talaga of traumatic events.
So kasama ka sa nagpo-proseso niyan sa mga taong kinakausap mo?
Hindi naman, pero trauma journalism is specific to the aftermath of trauma. So ganun yung mga usually survivors, mga ganung
Yeah.
bagay. Kaya siyempre automatic na iko-cover ko yung drug war. So
Yeah.
if yung tanong ay ano yung surprising na comment, ngayon hindi na ako nagugulat pag may
Okay.
Q&A. Pero ang madalas na nagugulat ako, um, 'pag journalist ka kasi hindi ka sanay personal yung question, eh.
That's
So, evasion kaagad, eh. Madalas ang tinatanong, "How do you cope with trauma? How do you handle the aftermath?" Kasi kung sunod-sunod 'yan at nakikita nilang sunod-sunod, ang tatanungin nila, paano 'yun? Hindi mo ba nararamdaman 'yan? Ano pakiramdam mo?" And generally, ang sagot ko, hindi naman kami kamera, eh. So,
correct.
pumapasok 'yan, hindi
Correct.
lumalabas. Kahit ano isulat mo, hindi naman lalabas 'yan, eh, poproseso mo. And
Correct.
ako dahil puro crime scene, puro mga libing, lamay, lahat-lahat, para masulat ko yung kailangan ko isulat, kailangan ko pagdaanan lahat ng pinagdaanan nila. 'Pag kinukuwento nila, kailangan ko mabuo yung istorya. Kung mag-i-interview ako ng pulis, kung mag-i-interview ako ng vigilante, kung mag-i-interview ako ng survivor, kailangan lahat tumatakbo sa isip ko. So,
Correct.
andun lahat. So,
You're like a
kung
sponge, no? Sponge and taking
yes,
everything in.
you have to take everything in because I cannot write about what I cannot see, 'di
That's
ba? And
true.
kung gusto ko maramdaman ng mga tao, kailangan pagdaanan ko rin. So,
Correct.
ang sagot ko dati, kasi alam mo 'yun, ayaw mo naman kasi pag-usapan 'yun, eh. Sabi ko,
Yes, at saka sa journalist hindi ikaw ang bida. Yung
oo,
storya
hindi
yung
ko puwedeng maging
bida.
bida, eh.
Ang
Oo.
galing 'no, you're
So,
so aware of that.
you have to be.
Yeah.
So, ang sagot ko dati lagi, alcohol, yosi, kape. Pero yung totoong sagot, kasi hindi mo naman puwede pabalewalain din, eh. Kasi sino
Oo.
yung bagong mamamahayag na manonood ng kung ano man yung sinabi ko at sasabihin, yosi lang naman yan, okey ka na, eh, 'di ba?
Mm. Mm.
So, ang sa totoo, proseso yan. Kailangan mo intindihin na may dadaanan ka din 'pag may pinagdaanan yung ibang tao. Hindi
Oo.
kasing importante, hindi kasing laki, pero kailangan ng self-care din.
Oo.
So, for me, ang pinakamahalaga, hindi naman ako nag-iisa, eh, dun sa ginawa ko. Hindi
Correct.
ako yung iisang mamamahayag na nag-cover ng drug war. Hindi Rappler yung iisang institusyon
Correct.
na nag-cover nito at hindi rin sila yung nagbayad ng presyo dahil tinulak nila yung coverage.
Mhm.
So, marami kaming ganito at dahil marami kaming puwedeng mag-usap. Parang, for me, the important thing was always to have a tribe, to have a community that
A
understands
community.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really that, and it's quite a lot of self-awareness na 'pag alam mong pipitik ka na, back up muna.
Ang galing. But, your security, Pat, we're concerned about it. During the time you were doing this, alam ko palaban ka. Alam ko tough lady ka. Pero paano did you worry about security too? But because in the end, may istorya ka nga pero kung patay ka, wala, 'di ba?
Wala namang value ang patay na journalist, 'di ba? So,
Oo.
there were I think I ran the same risks as all the drug war reporters and photographers. But nung malalim na sa investigations, may panahon sa Rappler at tinuloy ko pagkatapos umalis ako, mga vigilante yung ini-interview ko.
Mm.
So, may mga delikado.
Mm.
Alala ko sa hotel ako, somewhere, I cannot name the city. I was in a hotel and there was, the vigilante walk through the door. And alala ko pinag-usapan namin ng Rappler the day before.
Mhm.
Bago mo pindutin yung record, siguraduhin mong walang baril yan.
Mhm.
Sabi ko, "Okey." Kasama ko yung photographer ko, sabi rin, "Okey." So,
Mhm.
nandun na kami sa hotel, pumasok na yung vigilante, banyo daw, "Ma'am, banyo kami." Banyo ako. So, pasok siyang
Mhm.
banyo, lock siya ng pinto. So, siyempre tatakbo yung isip mo. Ang
Mhm.
sabi ko sa photographer ko, nangako tayo, check muna kung may baril, kapkapan.
Mhm.
Sabi niya, "Okey." Ta's tingin sa'kin yung photographer ko, "At paano kung may nahanap akong baril?" Hindi namin
Oh,
naisip yun, hindi rin
correct,
naisip ng Rappler yun.
correct.
So, sabi ko, parang ayoko malaman.
Yeah, kasi
Kung
kailangan ko yung
alam
istorya.
natin
Kasi
hindi
gusto
lang
ko
yun,
oo.
hindi lang yun, kung threatening din, eh.
Yes.
Papakapkapan mo yung mama, hahanapan mo ng baril, baka mag-panic o baka putukan
Establishing
kami.
trust there, yes.
Oo, exactly. So, mga gano'ng sitwasyon. So, actually, hindi ko pwede sabihin yung totoong pangalan niya. That's the
Oo.
covenant between himself and myself.
Oo.
So, tawag ko sa kanya Simon sa libro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Sa kanya
sabi
nanggaling yung
niya,
title, sabi mo, di ba?
yeah, sa kanya galing yung title ng libro. Sabi niya, ah, mabait naman siyang tao,
Mm.
may asawa siya at anak,
Mhm.
religious daw siya. Sige, may baril siya, pero kaya siya bumoto kay Presidente Duterte kasi naniniwala siya, katulad ni Pangulong Duterte, na mga adik dapat pinapatay.
Mhm.
Kasi kinabukasan daw ng mga anak niya, masamang tao, mga adik. So
Mhm.
sabi ko, ano pakiramdam na pumapatay? Ma'am,
Mhm.
parang droga lang yan. Sa
Oh,
simula, takot ka, pero pagkatapos, okey ka na, nakaka-addict.
okay.
So, nung tinanong ko siya, paano 'to? Ilan na pinatay mo? Ano pakiramdam mo? Sabi niya nakapatay na siyang 2.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ah, pero yung iba, hindi siya yung pumatay, surveillance siya, nagda-drive nung getaway van, yung mga gano'ng bagay. Para
Mhm.
sa kanya, trabaho lang.
Walang
So,
remorse, kapatid. Walang remorse,
well,
walang gano'n.
ang sabi kasi niya, kahit anong trabaho kasama dun sa trabaho na yun, okey lang.
Okay.
Kasi bawat isang adik na patayin nila, ah,
Mhm.
one less threat sa mga anak niya in the future. Kasi nga
Okay.
masama daw sila.
Okay.
So, sabi ko, "Okey, trabaho, sabi niya.
Mhm.
Tapos nung tinanong ko nga, anong pakiramdam na pumapatay?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, na kung religious siya o may mga paniniwala siya, how does that square with his beliefs?
Mhm. Mhm.
And sabi niya, "Alam mo ma'am, hindi naman ako masamang tao, Hindi naman
Hmm.
talaga ako masama. May mga tao lang talaga na kailangan patayin."
Oh my God.
So, that's the title of the book, Some People Need Killing.
Mhm. Mhm. Pero you were saying nga, parang hindi mo matanggap yon na yung halaga ng tao ay na-reduce sa, "Uy, dahil nagdodroga ka, kailangan ka ng patayin."
Hmm.
How
Mhm.
did you deal with that? Parang paano mo sabihin kay Simon na, "Uy, may halaga yung buhay."
Reporter ako, so hindi ko pa kayang palitan yung paniniwala niya.
Correct.
Para namang lahat tayo na nag-i-interview, tatanungin mo saan sila nakatayo. Susubukan mo intindihin kung bakit siya nanggaling dun.
Correct.
Ah, medyo komplikado lang kasi kaharap mo mamamatay tao,
Mm.
Ayoko
Mm.
naman mamatay dun.
Mm.
So, the understanding between he and me, it's a for situations like that, an interview is a function of faith.
Yeah.
Na
Yeah.
naniniwala ako na pumasok ako sa kwarto na 'to, mag-uusap lang tayo, hindi mo ako papatayin.
Mm.
Naniniwala siya na 'pag pumasok siya sa kwarto na yun, mag-uusap lang kami at hindi ko siya isusumbong.
Pat, ganito,
Gano'n lang.
sa prosesong 'yan, paano mo siya nakumbinsing lumapit sa'yo para magsalita at kunin yung kanyang storya?
Hindi ka naniniwala na charming lang ako.
Charming ka naman, Pat, pero the thing here is alam niya yung ending nito, eh. You'll bring it out to the public, and does he know to what end you're bringing it to?
Alam niya na reporter ako, alam niyang
Mm.
lalabas yung storya,
Mm.
um, alam niya at malaki rin yung paniniwala. Yun nga, it's a faith thing na alam niyang hindi ko siya ilalaglag. Yun yung
Ah,
pagkakaintindihan namin, walang laglagan.
that's good, that's good.
So, kung inupo mo ako sa korte, tinanong ako kung ano pangalan niya, saan siya galing, hindi ko sasabihin. Gano'n
Okay.
lang 'yun.
Okay. Speaking of faith, we're privileged to have the head of our Jesuit communications, si Father Nono, who's there at the Metro Manila Film Fest meeting kasi yung Gomburza niya, Pat, first time sumama yung mga Jesuita magkaroon ng entry sa Metro Manila Film Fest sa December. But well, him being our leader, we're so privileged to have him also, so he'll jump in anytime sa ating discussions, nasa phone lang siya. Anyway, talk about the process. So ang dami mong na-charm para magbukas ng nagbukas ng mga kwento nila sa'yo. Paano yon? Ikaw mismo yung tumatawag? Yung lead, sila yung nagpepresenta?
To be fair, I don't want to diminish rin naman yung proseso. The only reason I make a joke about, kung paano ko nakukuha yung interview, kasi hindi ko puwede ikuwento. 'Pag vigilante yung interview mo, you have to protect all the connections all the way to the
Yes,
vigilante.
yes, yes.
So, there is no straight answer to that. I can't give it to you.
Ah,
The
ah,
only answer I can give you that is allowed is hindi binabayaran ng storya. bawal.
Ang ganda. Pero sinabi nila sa inyo kung magkano yung pabuya sa kanila pag nakakapatay sila?
Mhm. So, iba-iba yung mga pabuya. Halimbawa, kung may inutos na patayin, medyo malaki yung hindi naman malaki pero mas importante yung dealer. Puwede ka umabot ng 40, hindi ko maalala, matagal na, since sinulat ko yung libro. Pero kung ano man yung suma total nung pagkamatay, ide-divide yan kung ilan yung grupo.
Okay. At may covenant din ba sila? May ano na hindi kayo magsasalita dapat, kundi babalikan namin kayo or yung pamilya niyo? Or may takot din silang gano'n?
Meron naman. Kaya yung mga in-interview ko, maingat din sila.
Oh,
Hindi namin sinasabi kung saan kami magkikita, hindi
yeah,
namin suspetsa ko, hindi alam ng mga asawa nila na nakausap ako.
yeah.
So, gano'n lang naman. Kung maingat sila, maingat rin ako.
Very, no? Tapos, didn't the whole process numb you? Or wala, talagang you had to go through everything that you were feeling also?
Um, Suspetsa ko it might have been easier if I didn't feel anything, to me, as a human being.
Uh-huh.
Pero hindi mo puwedeng isulat ang ganito na hindi mo pinapayagan yung emosyon. Kasi
Totoo.
paano ko maiintindihan kung saan sila nanggaling? Paano ko malalaman kung ano yung naiisip nila kung hindi rin ako tao? At
Totoo.
wala namang paraan talaga na hindi mo mararamdaman yun. Kasi
Totoo.
Pilipino din ako.
Totoo. So, yun, paano ka nagde-debrief? Yun nga, siyempre sinabi mo kanina may community ka, meron ka naman nakakausap, pero mismo ikaw, we want to understand your process after getting their story. How do you deal with yourself after?
Well, mahaba naman kasi yung proseso din, eh. Hindi
Correct.
naman isang interview yan tapos ka na.
Correct.
Hahanapin mo yung ibang interview for corroboration.
Correct.
Titignan mo yung dokumento, hahanapin mo yung sinabi ba nilang pinatay, namatay ba on that day at that place.
Mm.
Hahanapin mo may witness ba sa pagkamatay na yun, iko-compare mo yung police report. Lahat-lahat, medyo brutal siya. And
Mm.
then nung nasulat ko na yung libro, and that took 5 years. Nung
Mm.
nasulat ko na yung libro, brutal din yung fact checking. Every line, every sentence pinapasadahan namin.
Totoo.
Halimbawa, kung may sinabi si Presidente Duterte na kung ano man, kailangan namin i-check, hindi lang yung transcript, i-verify sa video at dahil English yung libro, tama ba yung translation? Pag
Correct.
sinabi niya, nag-PI siya,
Correct.
in English, yung PI ba na yun? Ito ba yung English translation ng pagmumura na yun? Kasi we also don't want to take him out of context. So,
Mm.
ganong bagay.
Mm.
And if the question is how I deal with it,
Yes, yes.
debriefing and process, di ko rin masasagot eh.
Well, tibay
Alam
ng
mo na,
loob at tapang yun yung lumalabas talaga,
hindi,
eh.
ay, masyado overrated ang tapang eh. Kasi,
Talaga?
in
Bata ka
that,
pa, matapang ka na. Hello, aminin mo yan, 'no?
iba yung interpretation kasi ng tapang in most cases eh.
That's
Nalaban ka lang ng laban.
that's
Ang
true.
una kong admission is, lagi naman akong takot eh. Takot ako dati, takot pa rin ako ngayon. I'm afraid every day. And
Oh,
for a journalist, that's a good thing. For me,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
Kasi,
yeah.
alam ko hindi ako naggulat. Alam ko lahat ng repercussion.
Mhm.
Alam ko na takot ako magkamali, for example.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
iisipin ko lahat. Iikutan ko bawat sentence. Sigurado ba ako from every end? Tama ako. Yung end notes ng libro is almost 100
Ang
pages.
haba,
Just
oo. Dinaanan ko yun pero ang galing. Pero talagang may sariling buhay yung endnotes.
Why, thank you.
Oo.
I work with a team of fact checkers as well. Na lahat
Yeah.
Pinoy, lahat reporter, at lahat kami binugbog namin yung endnotes na yun. So, uh, community is important.
Yes.
Sana yung mga kaibigan mo naiintindihan ka.
Yes.
Sana, um, conscious ka rin ano pakiramdam mo at that moment. Kung
Mhm.
kailangan ko na kung tumigil, titigil ako. Then babalik ako ulit. Pasok, lalabas, babalik.
Oh, ayan na si Father Nono na wala pang video. Siguro nandun pa sa meeting. Pero Father, go. You can ask your question.
Hello?
Yes, Father, we
Hello,
can hear
Yes.
Father.
you.
Hello, Miss Pat. I was given a copy of your book by Noel, and I read it. Kalahati pa lang ako, pero ang galing-galing, ano? And somebody forwarded to me an article of an interview you made with a journalist in, I think, in New York, and he was so impressed. He was comparing you to many journalists he was able to interview. Ang galing-galing. You make us very proud to be Filipinos.
Maraming salamat po, Father.
Yes. So, Pat, what I was able to sense from yung kalahating nabasa ko is your great love for our country. Yun yung lumalabas. Um, in fact, I was so amused how you started the book na nanalo ka sa ano sa debate, and then parang people think that you really mean what you say, but it's only when you embraced your being a journalist. By the way, tagahanga mo ako. I'm a fan. Yung documentary mo dun sa ANC before. I
Yes.
watch, yeah, I would watch your episodes. What's the title? Mukha ba yun? Mukha? Was that the title?
Storyline, Father.
Ah,
Storylines.
yeah. So, anyway, so would you confirm that you have this great love for our country, that somehow you feel that the country has failed, not just you, of course, but many of us, uh, when it embraced Duterteismo. Would you confirm that?
I No, Father, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go that far.
Mm-hmm,
In that I don't think I love the country any more or any less than other Filipinos.
mm-hmm,
Um, Lahat naman sila may paniniwala nung binoto nila si Pangulong Duterte at
mm-hmm,
malaking bahagi ng libro ay pagkakausap sa mga taong bumoto sa kanya. Halos lahat nung in-interview ko may pinanggagalingan yung pagboto nila.
mm-hmm,
So, I won't claim they failed me. Um, it's just that we went through a long, terrible history of failed expectations,
mm-hmm,
na malala ang paghihirap, malala ang maraming bagay. I respect their choices, the choices that they made. It's not so much I think the country failed me, maybe we failed the country. Maybe many people
mm-hmm.
did. Lahat naman tayo bahagi
Yeah,
ng
yeah.
bansa eh. Kahit
Mm.
binoto mo o hindi mo binoto si Pangulong Duterte or binoto o hindi mo binoto ibang tao, um, I think yung responsibilidad natin as a citizen goes beyond the ballot box. So it
Yeah.
is the job is constant participation in the aftermath.
Okay. Kasi you were there was a one chapter na parang you celebrated the fact that we ousted a dictator and all of that. Tapos
Yes, Father.
suddenly yes, and then parang parang sinabi mo na parang, no, I know my country, and my country is like this. We love freedom, we fought for democracy, etc.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden biglang heto na yung mga patayan, yung EJK. Parang you could not believe that, 'di ba? We kumbaga,
Yes.
'di ba? Bumaba tayo dun sa level na 'yon.
Yeah, well, yes, Father, in that it's not, I wouldn't frame it as failure, pero
Mhm.
I think the phrasing there was, hindi ko na-recognize yung bansa in the
Yeah, yeah,
aftermath.
yeah. Yeah.
In that yung paniniwala ko sa bansa na may pakialam tayo sa karapatang pantao, na may pakialam tayo kung pinapatay yung mga tao na
Mhm.
civilians, even drug addicts, anything, may karapatan tayo sa pananalita. Lahat yun
Mhm.
ipaglalaban.
Yeah.
Nagulat ako na biglang bago.
Mhm.
Iba ang ekspektasyon ko sa
Mhm.
bansa dun sa nangyari. And it might be na mali din yung expectation ko na matagal nang ganito
Mhm.
ang Pilipinas.
Yeah.
Hindi ko lang nakita.
Mhm. Maraming paliwanag, ano, like populism, 'di ba? Fake fake news or yung social media. Maraming paliwanag kung bakit parang napunta tayo doon sa where we are now, ano, and why people voted for a murderer or a killer. But I'd like to hear from you, your own analysis. Diba, that leap from parang loving democracy and fighting for freedom in the martial law years, and then parang embracing this dictator, Duterte. How do you, in your own way, how do you analyze that? What happened?
I think President Duterte told us a story in
Yeah.
that, and he's a phenomenal storyteller. So he took every uncertainty and every fear, fueled by decades of failed expectations, and then binigyan niya ng pangalan. He called it the scourge of illegal drugs. He called it criminality. He called it corruption. He called it many things. And in as much as the platform was of death, people voted in hope na magbabago yung buhay nila.
Yeah.
Kasi may kalaban eh. Sabi sa kanila, yung kalaban papatayin. So gaganda yung buhay nila. And all over the world, this happens naman eh, na there are charismatic men all over the world who will say outrageous things and make outrageous promises. And then, sometimes it's a little dangerous, but not dangerous enough. O, patayin niyo yung mga addict. Eh, siguro, alam mo naman may experience ka sa addict or narinig mo na ganyan mga addict. So, medyo madaling tanggapin.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
dadagdag, dadami, sunod, komunista, sunod, mamamahayag, sunod, kung sino man. And the lower you put the bar, the easier it is to accept so many things. And across the Duterte years, we had a flood of things he would say that were so outrageous that the next day it wasn't outrageous enough. And then we just, it was one after the other after the other. So if you ask me how it happened, he told a good story. And people needed to hear a story at that time. And then they looked at the landscape and they saw this man can do things. He can change things, but he's also one of us. He understands us. He understands the rage of just being in this situation. So he gave them an answer. Not everyone voted for President Duterte because they hated drug addicts. Iba-iba yung mga sagot nila, 'di ba? Yung iba gusto lang ng pagbabago. Maiba lang talaga. Yung iba natuwa kasi ang angas, astig. Yung iba pakiramdam nila para siyang tatay, yung iba pakiramdam nila siya yung salvation nila. Iba-iba yung dahilan. So I think yes, Father, go ahead.
I like the way you clearly put it. Ano yung he told a story because there's a chapter you contested yung mga figures, statistics that he would churn out about the drug addicts in the Philippines. But even some priests, some Jesuits fell for the statistic that he was spreading around. Like halimbawa, meron akong Jesuitang nakadebate, ano, sabi ba naman, isipin mo kung there are 3 million drug addicts times their families, because diba it ruins not just the person but the whole family. So sabi niya, my God, it's staggering, sabi niya that like 3 times, sabihin na natin 5 per family. So 15 million Filipinos are affected by this drug menace, and so we really have to support this president, my Lord. Yeah. Yeah, so that's storytelling. Pero di ba, tayo yung magaling dapat sa storytelling, di ba?
I want to ask that. Did the journalists see through that, Patricia? Kasi nakita nyo naman kung ano yung rhetoric, ano yung narrative. Did you try to break it or make people analyze, oy, there's merong mali? Or journalists really didn't sit well with the past administration?
Do you mean that was it reported what he said?
It was reported, but then parang the fact checking and people to like critically analyze the situation. Yun nga, of course we knew about the ABS-CBN closure and all, and what happened to Maria and Rappler. Parang Nasaan yung place ng journalist nung time na yon na silang dapat nagmumulat din at nagtatanong ng mga tunay na tanong?
I had the privilege of working with some of the best and bravest
Yeah.
of Philippine
Yeah.
journalism.
Yeah.
Hindi nagkulang sa tanong, hindi nagkulang sa trabaho.
Mhm.
Pero kung araw-araw ito yung naririnig ng mga tao,
Mhm.
habulan ka eh. Totoo ba to? And at some point, it didn't matter if it was true. Because ang importante, sinabi niya na gusto niya mamatay mga tao. Sinabi niya masama tong mga tao. So, how for me at the center of the yung everyday na patayan, iba naman kasi yung beat ko eh. Kami yung on the field talaga. Yung may mga namamatay. You can't keep up. There was so many. And the danger is for any journalist covering something like this, there's so much blood and so many words and so many stories and daily claims that are so outrageous that it was possible to drown in it.
Yeah.
And in that particular situation, it's not just drown in it. It's try to survive it.
Yeah.
Kasi target ka rin eh. So um I had the privilege of 5 years to think this through and to both have a reckoning with what happened to the country, but have a reckoning with myself. Did I do enough? Did I cover enough? Did I cover it honorably? So, mahirap yun eh, kung palo ka ng palo sa kalye araw-araw or nasa TV ka araw-araw, which is not to say the Philippine press, did as well as it did, but I don't think it was also as badly as I think some people say.
Yeah.
I think quite a lot stood with honor, and I thought it was an honorable thing, and I take pride in that I worked with some of the best out there. So, sinuwerte lang ako na may oras ako magsulat. And it doesn't mean what I wrote was the proper analysis of it. It's just, ang lente ko lagi storya eh. So, ano yung storya niya, ano yung pinaniwalaan ng mga tao, at ano pinapaniwalaan ko. Ano yung tama, hindi ko rin alam. So, that was the whole reckoning of the book. What stories do we hear? And how did language matter in our willingness to accept that story?
At ano yung silbi ng pagsasabi ng storyang yan? Sabi mo, it is a book of memory, of complicity and language, no? Ano yung dapat mapulot ng mga tao pag binasa nila yung librong ito, Pat?
Hindi pa naman tumitigil kasi yung story eh.
Totoo.
And hindi lang naman to sa Pilipinas, sa iba-ibang bahagi ng mundo. Maraming mga storya, maraming mga kwento, madaming mga salita. At madaling maniwala sa kung ano man. So, lalo na with violence in other places right now, with wars coming out in other places, I think if nothing else, I hope na maging mahalaga sa mga tao na makinig dun sa kwento at isipin gaano kalakas ng isang kwento. Libo-libo ang kaya mamatay dahil naniwala ka sa kwento. So, I think, if nothing else, I hope people understand the power of a story, to think about it, and to realize that they can refuse a story. So, hindi naman ako naniniwala na journalism can save the world. Very negotiated ang expectations ko eh. Kasi kung trabaho mo katulad ng akin, mahirap kung maniniwala na mag-iiba yung mundo kasi hindi naman mag-iiba yung mundo eh. So, magkakaroon pa rin naman ng patay next week eh. And the week after that. May mamamatay pa rin na journalist the week after that. So, you can't live day to day with the expectation that what you do changes anything. Or I wouldn't be a journalist. Kasi that's hell on earth to have that in your head.
Yeah.
So, ako, palagay ko ang responsibilidad ko to keep a record for a time where it might be necessary. And if nothing else, to honor yung mga matapang na nagkwento. Kasi hindi ko naman kwento to eh. Kwento to ng mga tao na nagkwento sa akin. Nasabi, Pat, importante kasi na lumabas eh. So, kahit yung iba, takot, nagkwento pa rin.
Yes, okay. Tapos ito, yung regret, yung sabi mo yung pagsisisi, how do you like make sense of those people na nagsisi doon sa ginawa nila or ginawa nilang pagsuporta sa dating presidente?
Um, May mga in-interview kasi ako sa libro na nagkwento kung bakit nila binoto si Pangulong Duterte. At iba-iba yung dahilan, kasama na doon yung mga taong hindi naniwala na papatay siya. So yung
Mhm.
mga yun, ang sabi nila sa akin, galit sila kasi nauto sila, pero mas galit sila na nagpauto sila.
Mhm, mhm,
So, yung iba naman, nung namatay si Kian na halimbawa,
mhm,
biglang nasaktan kasi para sa kanila, "Wait, kaedad ng anak ko 'yan."
mhm,
Ah, Parang pinatay na daw nila si Kian dahil pinayagan nila yung giyera, dahil pinili nila. So, iba-iba yung levels ng pagsisisi
yeah.
and I think naman kahit sino naman may karapatan magkamali at magsisi. So, ano naman trabaho ko naman hindi manghusga.
That's true.
Pero siyempre hindi rin ako magpe-pretend na hindi rin ako nanghuhusga. Kasi
That's
wala namang objective na journalism, eh. At ako, akala ko dati ang paniniwala ng Pilipinas masama pumatay.
mhm,
Natapos yung administrasyon, nag-iba yung paniniwala. So ako, hindi naman ako magmamaang-maangan na hindi, objective ako, eh. Eh, naniniwala ako na bawal ka bumaril sa kalye.
mhm, mhm,
Na
mhm.
so that's a stand on its own, and I have to own that. I also have to own the fact that as a journalist, I have a responsibility to be as factual and as balanced with the story.
Yes.
So I strive to be sino ba yan? That was Christiana Amanpour yata, eh.
Yeah.
Ah, um, I strive to be accurate, not to
Yeah.
be neutral.
Okay. Tapos ngayon, yun nga, after the Duterte administration, here comes the Marcos administration. Um, Nabawasan ba yung threat sa buhay at sa existence ng mga journalists? Kasi, well, may nababalitaan pa rin tayong ganon.
Well, is the question na mas mabuti ba yung sitwasyon for the
Yes,
press
yes.
or for people? I mostly think kasi that's the wrong question, eh.
Aha.
In that, it's not a question of it or if it's better or if it's worse.
Aha.
Is it acceptable?
It's true.
Na binababa natin yung bar so low na, sige eto puwede na 'to, dapat hindi puwede na, eh.
Mhm,
Dapat
mhm.
walang namamatay na journalist sa kalye.
Totoo yan.
Dapat walang crossfire na pumapatay sa maling bata as if may tamang bata na dapat patayin.
Totoo.
So, um, I wrote the book through the lens of other people din. So kung tanungin mo ako, better ba 'to?
Mhm, mhm.
Hindi lang naman yung boses ko narinig ko, eh. Ang gusto ko tanungin, anong palagay niyo?
Mhm,
Better ba
mhm.
para sa inyo? And I know that there are mothers who will say, "Eh, patay pa rin yung anak ko." May
Totoo.
mga magsasabi pa rin, "Eh, gutom pa rin ako. Eh, takot pa rin ako." May mga mamamahayag na kahit, matapang sila, iisipin pa rin may trabaho ba ako bukas 'pag kinuwento ko 'to.
Or
So,
ito pa,
may chin
yung tipong we need you here, we want you here. Pero ang hirap bumalik, 'di ba kasi yung security mo at risk pa rin.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
I definitely will go home. Field
Mhm,
reporter ako, eh. So,
mhm, mhm.
asan yung field, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So, at hindi pa tapos yung kwento at anong klaseng tao naman ako, nauupo ako dito tapos yung mga in-interview ko andiyan.
Mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm.
um, at the end of the day, definitely, I'm going home. There are stories I have to tell.
Galing, galing. Father, ayan na, nakita na natin si Father no ano.
May pahabol lang akong tanong kay Pat. I was amused about a family detail that you shared in your book. You discovering that your lolo was not a hero after all, or something like that. Can you talk to us about
Chapter
that?
1. Chapter
Yes.
1, oh, 'di ba?
Pero
At 2, 2, 2, yeah.
nakakaaliw eh kasi parang 'di ba it's hard enough to admit that your lolo pala was not the person you thought he was, but to share it, why would you share it? Hindi ka ba pinagalitan ng family mo or
Well, nagpa-interview sila, so I guess okay lang po. Do they like the story? I don't know yet. Um,
Oh.
pero, but this is in large part kasi, this is also an argument of how complicit are
Yeah.
people.
It's true.
But the way I think about it is when I think of my grandfather, I think of someone for whom may responsibilidad na magkwento. He was a journalist.
Mhm.
So, but he was doing it at a difficult and a dangerous time. And he was a writer, but he was also a family man. He had family to consider.
Mhm.
So, this book is about families also making painful decisions for themselves, for their families, and there's very much at stake for everyone. So I cannot pretend to understand why he supported the Marcoses at the same time supporting the Aquinos,
Mhm.
in that maybe he was
Yeah.
just friendly, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, but at the same time, everyone has their own reckoning and I have mine. Alam ko yung trabaho ko.
Mhm.
And it's inevitable naman na magko-cover ako ng drug war. Like for many of us reporters naman on the field, hindi siya mahirap na desisyon. Automatic siya.
Mhm.
Lahat kami at some point in our careers made a decision to do something like this. Ang sa akin in 2009, I stood over bodies in Maguindanao after the massacre and I thought, I guess this is what I have to do. Kasi that was the
Mhm.
first time I was ever afraid.
Mhm.
Um, as Noel will tell you, I was largely reckless. So
Mhm.
it was only in Maguindanao when I understood, wait, totoo yung threat. Pwede ka mamatay dito.
Mhm.
And it was the day I learned to be afraid. And I'm still afraid. It's
Mhm.
also that I do it because hindi ko makalimutan yung nakita ko nun eh. At
Mhm.
natatakot din ako, baka makalimutan ko. Things like that are so huge, you can't forget. Pero if people like us who can go in the field, who are privileged with the right to go in the field, can't keep a record, it means for some people it didn't happen. So that's
Mhm.
the job. That's the reckoning. And my grandfather did what he did for choices I am not able to ask him about.
Mhm.
But I want to make my own choices that I can live with. And he didn't deny it. He said, I want to be part of the surviving majority.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
After the American occupation, after the Japanese occupation, after the Marcos dictatorship, he said, "I'm not going to EDSA. I'm not going to
Mhm.
pretend to be someone I'm not. I'm not going to make a stand for this because I have run from the bullet that had my name on it for years. I am part of the surviving majority. I
Yeah.
would also like to be part of the surviving majority. I just hope I can do it while still telling the story."
And saying the truth, no? At least yan, tama pa rin, no? Sa tenor ng journalism, yung doon ka pa rin sa katotohanan kahit na makaapekto sa pamilya. But,
Yun nga eh.
yan,
That's why
go.
for me, that shows not just your objectivity, but your courage that you will not, di ba, anong
No?
tawag dyan? Leave no stones unturned, di ba? Di ba?
Kahit
You
pamilya
go,
mo
Oh,
na.
you'll go to the
well,
truth where it takes you.
I hope I will.
Yeah.
I really hope I have. Wait, I can't say other words. I hope I will have the courage for it. But I truly don't pretend to be an objective father. In that, I don't think there's such a thing. I mean, when you choose a story that is informed by many things,
Mhm.
who you choose to interview, what story you choose to deliver, how you tell the story. Um, I'm not objective. I also can't be dispassionate.
Mhm.
So, but I hope to be truthful.
Let's be
Mm.
more forward-looking now in our
Yeah. Yeah.
remaining time. Um, Pat, given the institutions, I'll run through the institutions, no? At pag-usapan natin kasi kasama si Father dito, may church dyan. Pero
Mhm. Mhm.
tingnan natin paano to move forward. After what happened in the Duterte administration and now the Marcos administration, para mas informed or mas sabihin tama siguro or mas sabay-sabay or mas pasulong yung yung usad natin sa media, for example? What steps can be done, Pat, knowing what you went through and what you're going through as a media personality?
I can tell you I'm not in a position to answer any of these questions. I'm not a policy maker.
Mhm.
I'm a field reporter. So
Mhm.
if you ask me how to make it easier for field reporters for the media,
Mhm.
essentially what I had in Rappler, I was lucky in
Mhm.
that wala akong boss naman na nagsabi wag mo gawin yan kasi
Mhm.
delikado. We had very few resources and they threw everything they had behind me.
At
And
saka yung
wala
walang
akong
ibang businesses na pinoprotektahan, no? Iba yun kasi, eh.
yun, yun din because Rappler was a small house.
Yeah.
It was a small house. There were what, less than 20 reporters. Dalawa lang yung kotse. So kung mag-field ako,
Yeah.
yung kawawang ibang reporter kailangan maghanap ng sasakyan.
Yeah.
So I can't go through your list of institutions and tell you what they should do. I'm not qualified for it. I can
Uh-huh.
just tell you that I was in a privileged position na sinuportahan ako ng todo. At hindi rin naman ganun, swerte lang talaga. Pero I know also across other news agencies, yung mga boss na kaya, tumulong talaga. It's just
Okay.
that, madami rin kailangang interes eh. Sinuwerte lang kami.
Bakit babaeng mga journalist yung matatapang?
I think father halos lahat kasi ng journalist babae sa
Babae lang.
Pilipinas.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not so much dahil babae kami matapang kami. It's just that halos lahat kami babae.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
konti
Mhm.
lang talaga ang at least from my experience, never ako nagkaroon ng boss na lalaki sa
Mhm.
Pilipinas.
Mhm.
Every one of the companies I worked for was led by women, from the Inquirer to ABS-CBN to ANC to Rappler. I always worked with women. So
Mhm.
for me, it's not that they're women, it's that they're journalists. They were the gold standard in that
Yeah. Yeah.
kung matapang kayo, hindi ako pwedeng magpigil at magtago.
That's true.
Oh,
Next, Patricia, sorry, since nandito si Father, I want to know your reflections on the church. Kasi sabi mo nga, sa mga namatay, di ba, since Katoliko tayo, di ba? Sabi mo ganun, kailangan ilibing yung mga yan. At
mm.
yun, kahit may maraming mga bodies, kailangan mong asikasuhin mo na yan, tapos palakihin yung mga anak mo. Kasi Katoliko tayo, kailangan to keep the family together. May mga practices tayo. How else can the church, paano pwedeng umusad from here?
I don't belong to the church. I am not qualified to answer the question of how the
Talaga?
church can be a better church. What I can tell you is that during the drug war, we leaned hard on the church. In that, pag may mga pamilya, kasi reporter kami, hindi namin kaya protektohan ng mga pamilya, hindi namin sila kaya pakainin. Kahit
Eh,
mag-interview naman kami, bawal kami magbigay.
Yeah,
Kasi
yeah.
ibig sabihin, binili mo yung storya. But I can't tell you the enormity of the support of the church towards the families. Na
yeah.
maraming hindi nagsalita kung hindi nila alam na kaya nila sandalan yung simbahan.
Yeah.
So, ang dami kong nakilala ng mga matapang at ah, buong-buong puso ng mga pare, ng mga kung sino man ang affiliated sa simbahan na sumalo dun sa mga pamilya
Galing.
matapos yung giyera. Matapos may mangyari sa kanila. At hindi short term yung mga to.
Yeah.
Matapos maglibing ka, paano yung paaral? Paano yung
Yeah.
trabaho?
Yeah.
Paano yung mental health ng mga pamilya?
Mhm.
Kaun ka ka kahit kaunti lang yung resources, sunod-sunod pa rin yung tulong at hindi tumigil. Kahit nag-iba yung gobyerno, kahit natapos yung giyera para sa ibang tao, andun yung simbahan.
Galing, galing. Sa militar naman, sa pagko-cover mo, so, meron ding tumulong sa inyo, no? Or meron ding may konsensya or kasama sa paghahanap ng katotohanan? Kahit may commander-in-chief sila na
Ah,
nagsasabing, "Oh, ganito ang dapat mangyari."
I didn't cover the military. Ang coverage ko ay, Metro Manila at drug war.
Yung mga pulis,
So
Pat, yung mga
okay,
pulis, 'di ba? So,
yes.
paano sila? Parang,
Mhm.
were they torn between the orders of their superior and then keeping their own conscience?
I can only speak to my own experience interviewing. I can't speak in general.
Yes.
Yung mga nakausap ko ng mga pulis, naniniwala na trabaho nilang ginagawa nila. Na at siyempre kasama rin dun, empowered sila.
Yeah.
Sabi nila ngayon, golden days na ng pulis. Dati takot kami sa mga adik, takot kami na masampahan ng kaso. Ngayon sila yung mga takot sa amin. Kasi may ano na, may sandalan na sila. Sinabi sa kanila, do the job and they'll do the job. For as long as may presumption of regularity, tutuloy nila yung trabaho. So, whatever yung dating limitasyon, medyo nabuksan yung limitasyon. Kasi sabi nga, pwede ka pumatay legally eh. Sabi kung magkamot lang, ay baka maglabas ng barel. So, wag mo na, unahan mo na. 'Di ba?
Okay.
So, lumawag yung mga checks and balances na dapat andun dati. So, if you ask about conscience, na may regrets ba sila, may takot ba sila, may mga nakausap ako na hindi masaya sa sitwasyon, but ano magagawa nila? Or pipili na lang sila ng ibang ruta sa loob ng pulis. So, I think there were some good men. I think may mga naniniwala na medyo may problema yung sitwasyon. Hindi marami. Hindi dahil konti lang sila. Siguro hindi ko lang nahanap yung iba. Kasi ang in-interview ko naman pagkatapos ng patayan.
Tapos yun, well, before Father wraps it up, I guess yung pag-asa, sabi mo, yung pagkatig mo sa pag-asa, hindi ganun katulad ng ibang mga tao na very hopeful sa situation. Ano yung masasabi mo? Well, hindi man yung pagkatig sa pag-asa very overrated din from the person who comes from yung experience sa ground?
Hindi naman sa overrated, delikado. Para sa mga katulad ko or baka particular lang siya sa akin.
Yes.
Delikado ang pag-asa eh. Kasi it means you're not ready. It means that you're counting on the best case situation when the best case rarely happens. So for me, it's a protective thing as well, in that I don't count on good things happening.
You
When they
work
do,
for
then that's
it. Yeah.
well, you work for it, but at the same time, you don't expect it. Kasi kahit naman gaano kabugbog ka sa trabaho, i-report mo yung storya, gawin mo ng maayos, mag-ingat ka. Ano mangyayari pagkatapos? Kung may hinihintay kang mangyayari, paano mo gagawin yung susunod na storya? Pumutok na yung pag-asa mo. So, para sa akin, negotiate lagi yung expectation. Ano gusto kong mangyari dito? Gusto ko makasulat ng libro. Gusto ko sana yung librong isusulat ko, magandang pagkakwento as best as I can. Sana I honor the stories of the people who told me a story. Am I counting on justice or any of those big grand words? I can't. Or I can't do the next story because then I'll break my heart. So it's a dangerous thing to hope. And I know most interviews want to end with hope. So how about this? I hope to write a book. And I wrote a book. And I hope that people read it so that they hear other stories from other places. That's it.
Father, end it. mas
No,
Yan, go.
ako pahabol na lang siguro na makakatulong ito,
Yes,
Pat,
Bob.
ano. You're a trauma journalist, as you wrote in the book. What would you tell a budding journalist, fresh graduate from the Ateneo Communications Department or the UP, di ba? And di ba, if you're going to give them an advice how to become a good trauma journalist, what would that be? Stay away from it. It's dangerous.
Well, it's certainly not easy. And I think to remember that at the front of it is the people.
Okay.
That to remember that hindi
Mm.
mas importante yung storya dun sa tao.
That's true.
Hindi ganun kalaki yung storya. Walang ganong kalaki na storya na uunahin mo siya dun sa taong umiiyak sa kanto. Pag sinabi nila ayaw nila magkwento, wag mo
Wow.
ipipilit. Pag
Correct.
sinabi nila na nato-traumatize sila dun sa kwento, wag mo itulak. Pwede mo balik-balikan, pwede mo sabihin nagbago ba yung isip mo or paliwanag mo kung saan ka nanggagaling. Pero kung ayaw, ayaw. Kasi may pinagdadaanan sila, ikaw magkukuwento ka, eh, pero uuwi ka, tapos na. Sila buong buhay nila yan.
Yeah.
So, kung napagsigawan ka sa kalye, kasi sasabihin sa'yo ng pamilya, binaboy ng pulis yung katawan ng pinatay, ng kapatid nila, pinsan nila, iniwan sa kalye, duguan, lahat sinabi ng laban. Tapos may dumating na reporter, pinicturan, nilabas sa tabloid, binaboy din daw ulit. Kasi lumabas daw yung litrato ng ganun. Tapos dadaan ka, sisigawan ka, sasabihin sa'yo lahat kayong media, ganyan kayo. Huwag mo na ipilit. Experience nila yun, eh, 'di ba? So, kung may matuturo ako sa kung sino mang batang reporter, mas importante sila. Yung consent nila, yung agency nila, the right to refuse, the right to say yes or no. And the second thing I would say is, make no promises you can't keep. Hindi yung, pag nagkwento kayo sa akin, baka magkaroon ng hustisya. Sino ka para masabi yun, 'di ba? Hindi mo nga masabi para sa sarili mo, eh, paano mo sasabihin sa ibang tao? Or 'pag ikwento mo 'to, sa gitna ka ng disaster, may dadating na relief goods, hindi natin alam 'yan. So the only thing I can promise in most cases, I can tell your story. Whatever comes after, comes after. May risks, may problema, baka ayaw mo, baka gusto mo. Pero to the best of my abilities, I will tell the story as well as I can. That's all.
Galing, no? So, faith, na-cover natin, yung pagiging journalist sa media. Let's end it sa bansa naman. After the launch of this book, Patricia, anong tingin ng mga tao na nakasalamuha mo dyan during your launch sa Pilipinas at sa pinagdadaanan natin?
I think, for one thing, it's an understanding that what happens in one country, no matter gaano ka-exotic pakinggan, gaano ka-iba, is actually very similar to what is happening to their countries all over the world. That there are always charismatic men or women who say things, and that what is important is you listen. That words matter. Na hindi pwede tawanan lang at palampasin, eh. So, if it's a question of ano yung sinasabi nila when they talk to me, it's mostly asking about similarities and differences. And the realization that whether it's Southeast Asia or whether it's somewhere else, we all have the same impulses.
It's a tie, sabi nila. Pero sa atin may pumapatay. Because the institutions there at least are working somehow, no? In the States, at least, no?
Sure. I also am not in a position to make a judgment on how their institutions work.
Pero yun, not as much killings, I suppose, no? As
Of course. Of course. They also didn't have a president who promised the killings, though. I don't know what would happen if they had one.
Yeah. But then,
May
yeah, go, Father.
may pahabol lang ako kay Pat, ano, dun sa interview niya kay David. I finally found the article. David Remnick of the
Yes,
New
sir.
Yorker.
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the last questions was, do you think you have changed anything, di ba? And ang sagot ni Pat, which I'd like to reassure her, ano? Ang sagot kasi ni Pat parang, no, I don't think so. That her work has changed anything. But I'd like to assure you na from the point of view of the church kasi, di ba? What you're doing is truth telling. Because of course truth here in your field is facts, di ba? Facts are very important. They're the foundation of the truth. And what you've been doing is exposing facts, sharing with us, and the more people know about facts, like while I was reading your book, di ba, I was surprised. Marami pala akong hindi alam, and they are eye-opening. So sa akin, yes, you are changing many things in your line of work. The truth is very, very important. It's the foundation of everything.
Thank you, Father. I like to think at least getting it out there matters, regardless of what paths people take after that. But it is comforting to know that you think there's actual impact. So thank you.
Okay, so Pat, they can get the copies of the books fully booked, no? But they can get it online too. And will you
Yes.
have mga book talks when you come back here?
Right now, actually, out of stock na yung libro sa Pilipinas.
Yeah.
May padating na bagong shipment, I think, over the weekend. But they can order it online
Mhm.
para maka-reserve na sila dun sa bagong shipment.
Mhm.
So, there's a do I give you a link, or you can go to my
Pwede,
Instagram or
yes.
Twitter or whatnot. My Twitter is @Pat Evangelista. So andun yung link ng pre-order ng libro
Yeah.
para dun sa bagong shipment, sigurado kang ma-portion out na kung ano man yung gusto mo bilhin.
Correct. Tapos sabi natin, no, after a year, pwede magkaroon ng translation so that more and more people, at least mga kababayan natin, can read it kung hindi man Ingles, di ba, sa ibang language. So yun. Sana.
That's an interesting suggestion. We can talk about it.
Yes. And more book talks and forum, di ba, when you come back here. Yun, when it's safe. When
Sana.
it's safe. But thank you for doing this. Any final words for people who've missed you here? Na, well, your media community also, and yun, yung mga taong in-idolize ka simula nung naging debater ka hanggang ngayon. Anong pwede mong sabihin?
Salamat sa suporta. I think I'm just glad it is a privilege to have done this, and I am glad for the opportunity here. But I miss home.
We'll see you soon.
We feel you, Pat. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you
I'll see
soon.
you soon. I'm pretty sure you'll see me soon. I just
Okay.
not sure how soon, but who knows?
Do you want to thank other people in the Philippines?
Oh God, quite a lot of people that I don't think it's possible na ibagsak lahat. But I work like this is not an individual job. I had a phenomenal team of people. And then lahat yung mga drug war photographers, yung mga abogado, sa sobrang rami nila, alam ko na, bilhin niyo yung libro. Mahaba yung acknowledgement.
Nandun kayo. Part 2 coming up. You're working on a new one.
I think I need to step back muna at isipin ko ano gusto ko gawin. Hindi ko pa sigurado kung... I don't know if I'm going to write a book again, but I'm surely going back to tell more stories. I'll
Run
go
for
back to
public
field.
office is not an option.
Not at all.
Not at all. Well, being religious is not an option.
Likely not.
Likely not. So ano pang pwedeng gawin ni Pat? Anong gusto mong gawin?
I am a journalist. That is what I'm going to be, what I am. I hope I can keep doing it.
Okay.
You should.
Salamat, maraming salamat. And you're doing it well.
Thank you.
We're
Thank you,
proud
Pat.
of you, Pat. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po sa oportunidad.
Tumiting ka, level up, matutupad. Go lang, go lang, go lang, go lang, go lang, go lang, go.
Mga Katipuneros, it's time to level up! Your talk variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.